Today we're going to talk about incorruptibility. My name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO of Meta Labs. We're the company behind ZKsync, which started 7 years ago as the pioneer of zero-knowledge proofs on Ethereum with a mission to scale Ethereum and blockchains, preserving their incorruptible properties. And we shifted our focus recently much more on institutions. So for those of you who are maybe not familiar with ZKsync, we are today the largest ZK ecosystem and one of the leaders in institutional adoption on Ethereum, with some of the biggest names in finance building on our stack, with recent big names such as ADI, which is a project by IHC Abu Dhabi and the First Bank of Abu Dhabi, with Fidelity, Deutsche Bank, a number of other institutions, and a large RWA ecosystem with many chains. But we started as a crypto-native project, and we heavily shifted our focus towards institutions. And the reason for this is, as you all are probably familiar, there is a spirit of change in the air that the financial institutions, banks, and enterprises are all feeling. You probably feel it as well. So I brought this quote when I was preparing the deck, but I could have used a quote from every second keynote or panel at this conference from today and yesterday. It's very palpable, and the reason for this is, in our opinion, is institutions are facing what I would call an adopt or die moment. The customer demand that is mounting from their customer base is demanding 24/7 settlement, the convenience of the Web2-like experience that we are familiar as consumers, and that is still locked away from the institutional players. The legacy systems they have are slow, ineffective. We still operate with T+1, in many cases T+2, T+5 days. And this is simply not acceptable for enterprise customers, for retail, for any cross-border multinational corporations that are operating with real big institutional money. And the companies that cannot adopt will be just outcompeted by the ones who are more agile. And blockchain systems offer a natural path forward for institutions to progress and become modernized. But the blockchain systems have kind of split in two large design categories over their evolution over the last couple of years. We have public chains that offer all the core properties of crypto that we know from Bitcoin and Ethereum: the credible neutrality, hard finality guarantees, and connectivity or composability with other protocols. So the barriers of entry are low, everyone can build and connect to each other. But if you're building on public chains, you're compromising control over your systems and over your infrastructure. And this is simply unacceptable to a lot of financial institutions, if not to most of them. For business reasons on the one hand, specifically for privacy reasons is like one of the largest concerns. But then also for compliance reasons. They operate in different jurisdictions. Sometimes they have to keep the data on specific servers in that jurisdiction, and they cannot even exchange data between the subsidiaries of the same corporation. So we have seen a lot of experiments in the last 2, 3, 4 years by banks deploying their own private blockchain systems as a way to kind of circumvent these limitations of public chains. And you probably all heard the phrase blockchain, not Bitcoin, as a motto of this movement. And it has not gone anywhere, because a private chain that is only living in your systems and not connected to anyone else does not give you much benefit over a mere database. So sure, there is some convenience. You can reuse some of the industry's best standards on smart contracts, access control, etc. But that's not a 0-to-1 enablement. There's just some improvement. So they really want to connect to each other. And they have tried consortium chains as another lane of of evolution of this technology, that has turned out to be even more difficult because it's hard to come to agreement on who is going to govern the system, who is going to introduce the rules, how the upgrades are going to happen, who gets to control the privacy aspects. Because if you have one big consortium chain between multiple different entities, then everyone will run a validator node and everyone will see everything that's happening there. So where is the privacy benefit that you're expecting? So this has not worked at all. And what we are doing at ZKsync right now is we just introduced a brand new architecture called Previdium, which we believe is the best solution to this problem. And this is the feedback we are getting from a lot of institutional customers that we're having conversations with. The Previdium is the intersection of the private and public blockchain design spaces. And what it is, it's essentially a private chain architecture that you can launch and operate on your banking or enterprise infrastructure as you are familiar with the private chains that existed before, the legacy private chains like Hyperledger Bezu, Hyperledger Fabric, Corda, etc. But it's a ZK chain. So while you preserve full control and sovereignty and full privacy preserving aspects of it, and you have granular access control, you can settle on Ethereum. So you can anchor your chain on Ethereum using incorruptible ZK cryptography. And this enables you to connect to other Previdiums and to other public chains, starting with Ethereum, where you can tap into the capital pool of the largest DeFi blockchain in the world. And you connect to other private chains with direct connectivity based on ZK interoperability protocols. Meaning you don't need some trusted third-party bridges. You don't need external capital injections. You can just interoperate the way you do today with HTTPS from one point to another point straight. And this is a unique architecture. Like no other technology but ZK can enable this, because what ZK really does, it creates the automation of trust. It gives you the incorruptible properties of the compute that blockchain systems are, like they are computers, but they are doing things correctly. Like it's impossible for these chains to execute any invalid operation, to violate any contractual logic, to spend money on behalf of any of your users without authorization of those users, and it's guaranteed not by trust in operators of those chains. It's purely guaranteed by cryptography, and then Ethereum is the ultimate settlement layer that synchronizes the chains between themselves. And this only became possible this year. The ZK proofs have been around for now a very long time. The first rollup we launched on Ethereum was in 2008, like 19, I think. That was the very first working ZK rollup ever in existence, and then we brought the first ZK VM a couple of years ago. They were slow and ineffective from the performance perspective. Like you could not run the proofs, you could not generate the proofs on your corporate premises. You would have to delegate them to the cloud, and this would compromise the privacy aspect. And it was just this year that the ZK technology matured to the point of us being able to generate proofs for a single transaction down to 0.1 cent proving cost per something like stablecoin transfer. We can commit the proofs for a single block within 1 second. So the full proof generation for a block takes only 1 second. So we can enable this 1 second interop between the ZK chains, which is this holy grail of T0. And we can sustain up to like over 15,000 transfer transactions per chain, which is double the average Visa transaction load if you take it annualized. So we are now finally ready with this infrastructure. And we just published a white paper in cooperation with Deloitte with a number of largest institutions in the world participating as observers. We're including several central banks, big US, European, Asian, and Middle Eastern banks, and and financial organizations. I highly encourage you to just Google ZKsync Previdium white paper. You will download the report and you will have a lot more details there. And our team is also here. We'll be happy to talk to you after this keynote and share more if you would like to learn about Previdiums and how they will transform the future of private institutional chains that are connected in a incorruptible new digital economy on chain. Thank you. You can also use this QR code to download the link.